Is it possible that we kind of eat the same thing over and over again, specifically like a lot of meat? Maybe because we're just not that original or creative. And not that we're not creative and original, because we are, but maybe we don't put any creativity into our food. Is that possible? Here I have a mango. Inside the mango is incredible flesh. It's so good. So good. Now, what does that have to do with creativity and original and meat? Inside the mango, underneath all that amazing flesh that you eat, is a pit. Now, I'm going to roast this pit to dry it a little bit, and then I'm going to crack it open and show you what's inside it. All right, we cracked it open. Let's see what it looks like. All right, let's see if the inside of a mango pit is a good meat replacement. Pretty good. Tastes like meat. So not only do you have the amazing fruit part of it, but you can use the pit for a meat replacement. Tastes great to me. Now, that's good. Now, I want to show you with the Bible that Jesus is unequivocally, I want to show you with the Bible that Jesus was unequivocally a vegan. And I'm not doing it in a judgmental way to say you have to be vegan. I'm not saying that Jesus wants you to be vegan. I'm not saying anything like that. All I'm saying is that Jesus was unequivocally a vegan. What that means is up to you. I'm going to show you. All right, are you ready? Matthew chapter 19, verse 3. The Pharisees also came to him, testing him, and saying to him, "Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for just any reason?" And he answered, Jesus answered, and said to them, "Have you not read that he who made them at the beginning, he that had made them at the beginning," you hear that? At the beginning. He who made them at the beginning made them male and female. What was he quoting? What was Jesus the Christ, Yeshua? What was he quoting? He was quoting Genesis 1, verse 27. It says, "So God created man in his own image, and in the image of God he created him male and female." That's what Jesus literally just quoted, Genesis 1. So the Pharisees were asking Jesus basically if divorce was okay, and he said no. Haven't you read from the beginning? The beginning. So he was giving the Pharisees a law that was from the beginning. And that's in verse 27. Well, guess what? 2 more verses up in the same chapter, verse 28. And 29, and God said, in verse 29, so 2 verses up from the verse he quoted in verse 29, and God said, "See, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be food." So how could Jesus the Christ tell the religious leaders of that time, the ones who would bestow knowledge and wisdom to their devotees, how could he rightfully, non-hypocritically tell them to do something that was in the beginning and then later that night go eat lamb or go eat fish? How could he do that? He would be a complete hypocrite if he was giving the Pharisees a standard of the Garden of Eden, and yet he wasn't living like he was in the Garden of Eden. The Jesus I knew, the new Adam, was living like he was living in the Garden of Eden, because he said all the time, the kingdom is now, the kingdom is at hand. What was his favorite books of the Bible to quote? Jeremiah and Isaiah, that talked about a future kingdom where the lion and the lamb will lie together. So I want you to think about that. And you might say, well, it's obvious he ate fish. It's obviously in the Bible that he ate fish. Is it? Is it? In the Greek, when referring to Jesus feeding the 5,000, the word that used for fish, can it also be used for relish or side dish or vegetable?
Yes, the Greek word used for fish in the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000, specifically opsarion, can also mean a relish or side dish. It's a smaller version of the word opsin, which means the same.
So, and that's the same thing when the resurrected Jesus ate the roasted fish. It was a side dish. And I'm not going to win any arguments on that, because people will say, yeah, well, it was a Jewish custom that was a side dish, fish. It doesn't say it was fish. It just says it was a side dish. I'm just telling you, the Jesus, the Yeshua that I follow, my master, my Lord and Savior, is not a hypocrite. And I know that he would not, without a shadow of a doubt, I know that he would not have held someone to a higher standard than he holds himself, or held himself. He would not have told the Pharisees that they can't get divorced, because that's not how it was in the beginning. and then gone and eaten meat, because that's not how it was in the beginning either. I'm not saying that Jesus is saying we all have to be vegan or vegetarian. I'm simply saying that Jesus unequivocally was a vegan. That's all I'm saying. And you have to pray about what that means, what you should do about that. I will say that in my journey, I've had a journey of spirituality for about 7 years, walking with Jesus. And what I have been observant to is we have just an abundance of Christians that when it comes to the kingdom, they are very passive. They just are waiting for it to come. And again, I don't think that's what Jesus taught. Jesus said the kingdom is at hand. And all through the Bible, to accomplish God's purpose, he used people. I think we're supposed to be building the kingdom. And it's very apparent to me that in this life, in my reality anyway, I know everybody's reality is a little different, but in my reality, everything around me, like specifically people usually, they're there to teach me something about myself, whether it be my wife or a friend. They're like, just like your wife is one flesh, like Jesus was talking about in Genesis. Man and wife, man and woman will become one flesh. You can look at your wife and you can see yourself in her, and she can look at you and see herself in you. I don't think it's limited to that. I think it's limited to everything. So a big question, like a lot of atheists have, is if God is real, if he's really loving, why is nature so violent? Is it just reflecting an image of us to try to tell us something about ourselves because we're so violent? Maybe if we weren't so violent, nature wouldn't be. And I know that would have to go a lot further than just not eating animals, because we're not only violent to animals, but we're also violent to human beings. So we have a lot of work ahead. But I think everything is a reflection telling you something about yourself. A lot of vegans will say that Jesus specifically went to the temple to save the animals because he was an advocate for animal rights, and that's why they killed him. I don't know if that's true or not. However, because I do believe it was about money as well. I think it was about animals. It was about the slaughtering of innocent lives, and it was about turning his father's house into a place of business. However, it is interesting that the word that they use in the Greek for den of thieves, can it also mean den of murderers or den of violence?
Yes, the Greek term for den of thieves suggests violence. It describes armed robbers, not sneaky thieves. While it doesn't directly mean murderers, it implies banditry and forceful actions.
So I just thought that was interesting. Again, that's something similar to the fish. If someone doesn't want to believe that Jesus didn't eat fish, they're not going to, because the Bible uses the word fish and it's a losing battle. However, it is unequivocal. Sorry, Jesus was unequivocally a vegan simply because he is the new Adam, and he lived in the Garden of Eden. He would not have held someone else to a higher standard than he held himself. He told the Pharisees to go back to the beginning in chapter 1, where it says man and woman were created in God's image. And then I think in chapter 2, it says that they became one flesh. That was in the Garden of Eden. He would not have given them a command that was from the Garden of Eden and then broken a command that was from the Garden of Eden. He would not have. He's not a hypocrite. That is, there. If you believe he ate meat, you have a lot of explaining to do to an atheist or unbeliever, because your Messiah is a hypocrite. If he ate meat, he would have been a hypocrite. Am I right or am I wrong? Can somebody clarify? Can somebody explain that to me? How he could have said, "Hey, no, you're not. You shouldn't get divorced because in the beginning, that was never God's intention. It was your stubbornness that made him allow it. But no, it was never supposed to be that way." And then gone and eaten a steak. I don't think so. And you can see this theme throughout the Bible of, even like in the wilderness, they had this amazing manna from heaven. God knows what it tasted like. I'm sure it tasted like some kind of honey bread. I don't know. I just want to put some honey on this tortilla right here and just imagine I'm eating manna, even though this is nothing like it. But manna from heaven. Wouldn't that be amazing? And they complained. They wanted to go back to slavery so that they could have some meat. And God said, "I'll give you quail till it comes out of your nostrils." And then they got sick. A lot of them died. They had a severe plague. So just because God allows you to harden your heart and to be stubborn doesn't mean there won't be consequences. God doesn't change. He gives you the desires of your heart. He doesn't change. If we're stubborn, we have free will. So anyway, I would love to know your thoughts. My phone's getting ready to die, so I'm going to end it here. I love you. Again, this isn't meant to be self-righteous. I've gone through so many different diets: carnivore, keto, vegetarian. Right now I am doing vegan. Who knows how long I'll stick to it. This is just a new revelation I've had, and it's really making me question some things. I would love to know your thoughts. Hope you have a good night, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever. Talk to you later. Real quick, I just wanted to tell you that if you try the inside of the pit of a mango, make sure you boil it for 15 minutes and then roast it, because it is a pit, a seed. It has some level, very small level of toxicity, but when you boil it for 15 minutes, it leaches out. And compared to other things like the pits of peaches or avocados, those things have a strong warning against them, but a lot of cultures actually eat the inner pit of a mango. so there's not really any kind of risk or anything as long as you boil it and get the very mild toxicity out of it first, and then roast it on a pan or in the oven. Love you.